A message from the Illinois Broadcasters Association and this station. They brought you this message.
WTIM. Good morning, Central Illinois, and welcome to the WTIM Morning Show on your information station. The show is sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. I'm your host, Reed Kamai, and starting things off this morning, we have joining us on the phone our first guest, State Senator Steve McClure. State Senator McClure, thanks for coming on this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, it's good to talk to you as always. And for our listeners, the state senator and I were talking a little bit about the high school baseball and softball action going on. And actually, there was a similar occasion going on in the Illinois General Assembly in the House and Senate softball game. And I understand the Senate won that game. State Senator McClure, how did that game go, and what position did you play?
So I started in left field, and I was 1-for-1, and I scored a run, and the Senate Republicans and Senate Democrats teamed up, and we beat the House for the first time since 2014. So it was a very fun game, and I think it's good to have these events where we have some bipartisanship and some teamwork. And what can I tell you? We are going to probably rub it in today when we get to the Capitol, and it's a lot of fun to play this game, especially when you win.
Oh, I love it. No, that is great for you folks. Did you play baseball or softball like previously or when you were younger?
You know, when I was a kid, yeah, I did play baseball for a while. But then when I got to high school, I was a wrestler, and you know, I've just always participated in sports. Now, the Illinois versus Missouri game, which is all of our legislators in both chambers, play the Missouri legislators in both chambers. I played that last 2 years ago, and we won. And I was, I think, 2 for 2 and scored a run. But last year, unfortunately, Illinois lost that game, but I did not participate. So the last 2 legislative softball games that I participate in, we have won. So I'm hoping to keep the streak alive next year.
Oh, I love that. Are there any videos up online of your performance a couple days ago?
You know what? I have not seen any yet, but it was just last night. So I guess we'll just have to see if something emerges.
Yeah, correction, last night. So yeah, no, I'll have to take a look at that. I didn't have time to look in the last 10 minutes. So yeah, you might have a chance to see State Senator McClure out on the softball diamond. Well, that's a nice little start there to this conversation. I do want to shift back to inside the walls of the state capitol because you've actually had a couple bills that you were involved in make some progress. I know you and Leroy last month when I was out talked a bit about I forget the number off the top of my head, but the bill that involves how sexual assault cases in schools are handled. Sounds like that bill passed, and you've got to be pretty happy about that.
Well, I'm happy with that, and the bill number on that is SB 939, but it's still in the House, and it's still sort of stalling in the House. So I'm going to certainly be looking for an update today as to what's happening with it. But it passed the Senate. It's taken me, I think, 1.5 years or 2 years to get that bill passed out of the Senate. And as you know, that bill was drafted because of a horrible situation in Christian County where a 10-year-old girl was sexually assaulted after getting off the school bus by a 14-year-old student. So the bill has passed the Senate. Believe it or not, there were 3 Democrats who did vote against the bill. 2 Democrats voted present, so they didn't want to vote yes or vote no. All the bill says is that if you if a student sexually assaults or attempts to sexually assault another student at school or at a school-related event, then they're expelled for at least a year. And to me, that should not be controversial at all. And to me, the victim of a sexual assault should not have to go into school and face the person who did that, or get back on the school bus with that student. So, you know, it's an important bill, and unfortunately, a lot of schools across the state have not done the right thing when it comes to these types of cases. So I do think it is time for the General Assembly to step in, and that's why the bill was filed. And like I said, I'm hoping that we can get this through the House. But it was a very good thing to get it through the Senate, but we're only halfway there. We need to get it through both chambers.
Through both chambers again, Senate Bill 939, and we'll see how that plays out in the House. And then there was another bill that you were involved in involving prescription drugs and the availability of that. I know we've covered it before in writing on our news platforms here at the Heart Media Group. I'd love to get your take and kind of an explanation on the effects of this bill if it ends up getting signed into law regarding prescription drugs.
Sure. A common issue these days is that if you send a prescription into a pharmacy, sometimes they don't have the medicine in stock. And because Illinois laws are more restrictive than federal laws when it comes to transferring prescriptions, in many cases, our state says that you cannot transfer that prescription from one pharmacy to another pharmacy that perhaps has the prescription in stock. And so the problem with that, of course, is that means that the patient who's asking for the prescription then has to call the doctor's office and try to get a new prescription written, sent to a different pharmacy. I think it's much easier if just one pharmacy can transfer it to another pharmacy that can actually fill the prescription. And so this bill puts us in line with federal law, and therefore it expands the number of prescription medications eligible to be transferred. And so I think it's a good bill, and I think it's in the real world, it will help make sure that people can get their prescriptions filled easier, and also make it so that doctors don't have to be woken up, well after they've left the office to try to write a new prescription. And it's a good bill for patients. It's a good bill for doctors, and it's a good bill for sort of making pharmacies work and have an easier time working for patients and doctors.
I'm curious if there was like an original rationale for the system kind of being as it was in what you're trying to rectify with the bill, and how you maybe were trying to work with stakeholders to craft this bill. Are you aware of kind of any background with that?
Well, I think that it's just a matter of trying to make sure that bad actors don't, take advantage of the pharmacy system. So like if somebody, wants to get a drug that perhaps is very addictive or can be sold on the black market, I think that the state was just trying to limit different ways in which a person could pick up these drugs at the pharmacy. So I think it was probably a good intention to maybe limit some drugs that can be transferred. However, in the real world, in a practical sense, if the federal government has already decided that, these can be done safely, then I think we need to just stay aligned with the federal government. I think it's also confusing if we have different restrictions on what can be transferred. So I think putting Illinois in line with federal guidelines, and also just trying to find more ways to make people have an easier time filling their prescriptions. I think those are good things. I'm sure there was a good intention with the original reason for the restrictions, but I think it's time to put us in line with the federal government, and I think it'll make life easier for everybody.
Okay, so that's a little bit of background there on the prescription bill there that passed the Senate. I appreciate that explanation there. In terms of its progress now, is like the previous bill, is that also still just waiting in the House?
Yeah, that's actually moving in the House right now. I know that there's been an amendment filed to it, so I'm watching that. If the amendment gets passed as a part of the bill, then I'm going to have to get it passed with the amendment attached to it in the Senate. So I'm watching that, and I'm very optimistic that we're going to get that passed. And I think that's another bill that's taken me a year and a half or 2 years to get passed. But to me, that's just a common sense bill. It's bipartisan, and it's going to make, I think, it easier for patients and doctors, as I said. And it's a good bill, and I think it's going to move.
All right, so it sounds like there's some bipartisanness there, just like with the House and Senate softball game that we were talking about earlier. I'm talking right now with State Senator Steve McClure here on the WTIM Morning Show. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll have a couple other things to talk about right here on the WTIM Morning Show on your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.
Tornado baseball and softball, plus playoff games, are on New Country 104.1 this spring. Tune in or listen to the live audio stream of select baseball and softball games, plus playoffs of both teams. Brought to you by
your Taylorville McDonald's Restaurant, Advanced Title Group, CNB Bank and Trust, and Taylorville Memorial Hospital.
Purple and gold are coming your way. The Taylorville Tornadoes are going to do it today.
Finding the right employees can be a real challenge these days, whether you're hiring full-time or part-time. That's where the regional radio stations come in. We're here to help you connect with the qualified candidates you need. Check out IllinoisJobPost.com. That's IllinoisJobPost.com. It's part of our comprehensive radio and internet employment campaign designed to get your job openings noticed. For details, just reach out to your account manager. Put the power of radio and the internet to work for you at IllinoisJobPost.com.
Double your impact with sight and sound. Reach customers through our 6 regional radio stations, plus capture their attention with our 36 by 72-inch digital billboard right on Route 29 in Taylorville. That's nearly 11,000 drivers seeing your message every single day while they're already listening to your radio ads. Ready to maximize your reach? Call your regional radio account manager today and put your business in front of eyes and ears across Central Illinois. Regional radio is where your message gets noticed.
Here are the contest rules for our stations. We allow one person per household to win any prize from the radio stations in a 30-day period. Unless otherwise stated, all prizes to Christian County winners are to be picked up within 2 weeks at the studios at 918 East Park in Taylorville. Our office hours are 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. weekdays. Winners outside of Christian County will have their prize mailed. Any cash prize is mailed within 30 days of winning. Only if cash winners call our business line within 2 weeks of their name being drawn to provide their mailing address. Employees and their families of regional radio are not eligible to participate or win any contest.
I'm Senior Account Manager Teresa Nelson with Regional Radio, here to share some just released news. Edison Research reveals that 35% of daily audio time is spent with AM/FM radio, both in car and at home. At home, 22% of radio listening is streamed, and at work, 16%. Smart speakers have become a key player with AM/FM streaming, leading ad-supported listening in 2024. Radio continues to deliver local content every day. We help local businesses boost their bottom line. Let us do the same for you.
At People's Bank and Trust, they help their consumer and business customers spend their time living their life, not explaining it. At People's Bank and Trust, they put people first. Find out how they can help you by clicking their banner ad at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Hi, this is Jeff Robinson from Advanced Title. Whether selling your home on your own or through your local realtor, please give us a call at 824-8007 for all your title work needs.
Your information station, WTIM.
And we're back on the WTIM Morning Show on your information station. The show is sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. I'm your host, Reed Kamai, and I continue my conversation with State Senator Steve McClure in this first conversation of the morning show today. And we talked in the first segment about a couple bills he was working on that have passed the Senate and are awaiting votes in the House. I want to turn now to the situation that's been going on involving the Chicago Bears, because there's been talk about them potentially moving, and that is tied in to the budget. And State Senator McClure, I'm curious to know where, as far as you're aware, things are at with that potential bill, and maybe what you're hoping will come out of that in terms of how it's handled.
Well, that bill is now in the Senate, and that's been in the Senate for a little while. And I think the general feeling is that there needs to be some changes to the bill. And so behind the scenes, there are negotiations. I know that Leader Kern is our representative at those negotiations. And so we will see where we end up, but we've got until about May 31st to get something passed if that bill's going to move until, this spring. If it does move this spring, then it's not going to be able to be addressed until veto session in the fall. So, I right now, I know Senator Cunningham is the lead on the Senate bill, or the Senate version of the House bill, I should say. And his thought is that we need to maybe slow this down and kind of, take our time with it, which I certainly respect that. I think if a bill's passed too quickly, certainly it may fall short of where we need the bill to be. So my personal thought on it is, look, I represent people that are having a hard time paying the bills right now. We've got, record property taxes. We've got record taxes in general all over the place. So in my view, if the bill emerges, it can't just be a big handout to a massive sports team. You've got to take care of everyday people as well. And if it's just a bill that is going to give all kinds of tax breaks to the Bears and leave everybody else high and dry, that is not something that I can support. And so we will see what emerges. And I know that Leader Kern is trying to take out some of the bad stuff that passed in the House version of the bill. So stay tuned. And everybody wants the Bears to stay in Illinois. But if there's a bill that's going to emerge, it's got to be something that's reasonable. And the current version that passed the House, I would vote no on if that's what reaches the Senate. But it sounds like there's a lot that's happening behind the scenes. So we will just have to see what the final bill looks like and go from there.
And it seems like a tough balance for you and for, other members of the General Assembly, because, I know you're concerned about not, forcing too much on the voters, on the taxpayers. Now, also, there's obviously the folks in Indiana who want the Bears to move to Gary or wherever it is in Northwest Indiana. And, does it seem like Indiana might kind of win that race, or what are you kind of hearing about that?
From what I have been told about the property that is being talked about in Indiana, it is not a good piece of property. It would not be a good location for the Bears. So I'm not going to say the Bears are bluffing, because who knows what's going to happen here, but Arlington Heights, Illinois would be a much better fit for the Bears. And, I think that the members of the General Assembly need to take that into consideration, that the Bears, I think, would have a hard time moving to that area, practically speaking, for a stadium. And Arlington Heights is a real fit. And Arlington Heights is where the Bears have sort of asked for a stadium to before Indiana even chimed in. So that's their preference as well, is to stay in Illinois and to go to Arlington Heights. But, the Bears make a ton of money. Bears tickets are not cheap. And, to burden the taxpayers with this, it's not like we're going to get free. We're not, we'll all pay for a part of this if the Bears get their way totally. And if that's the case, why are we not getting free Bears tickets then? I mean, they're making massive profits, and it's just not right for the taxpayers to bear the burden of that. And now, if they get some huge property tax deal where they're not paying property taxes, or they're really, what happens in that area is that the other property taxpayers have to pick up the slack for that property. So it's got to be fair to the taxpayers, period. And, the House version needs some real work, and we will just see what happens. But I just can't envision the Bears moving to Indiana, despite what they say. And Arlington Heights is the place they want to go. So I don't know, I don't think it's going to take the perfect deal to keep the Bears in Illinois. I just think it's got to be reasonable to all sides here. And thus far, the bill is not reasonable to all sides.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Of course.
The Big 870 WTIM Assumption Taylorville, 96.1 FM Taylorville, 107.5 FM Shelbyville, 107.9 FM Pena Nokomis.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall.